Have you ever been in that moment where everything seemed to be going fine and then suddenly she goes cold? No explanation, no warning, just silence. That's when your mind starts spinning, overthinking, trying to decode her silence like it's some impossible riddle, and that's exactly what she's counting on. You see, when a woman ignores you, it's rarely random. It's calculated, it's strategic, it's often an ego test, and the moment you take the bait, you lose. The worst mistake you can make is assuming her silence means you need to prove your worth, that you have to chase, explain yourself, ask her if everything's okay. But that's not strength, that's validation seeking. And the second you go down that road, you feed her ego exactly what it wants. Your emotional reaction becomes her power. Your confusion becomes her control. But what if, instead, you did nothing? What if when she goes silent, you remain still, calm, unfazed, indifferent? That silence, it drives her wild, because now the script has flipped. She expected emotion. She expected you to crumble, to chase, to fold, and when you don't, she starts questioning herself. That's when the test backfires. That's when her ego starts to bend, because the one thing she didn't anticipate was your strength to stay centered. The truth is, when a woman ignores you, she's observing your reaction more than you realize. She wants to know if you'll keep your frame or lose it. And most men fail, not because they're weak, but because they don't know better. They get hooked emotionally. They personalize the silence. They chase what they should have walked away from. But you're going to be different. You're going to recognize the silence for what it is. Not a rejection, but a power play. And you're not playing that game. You don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't collapse. You rise quietly, you hold your frame, and in that stillness you shatter her expectations, because the moment you stop needing her response to define your worth is the moment she realizes she lost control. That's when the power shifts. Have you ever wondered why the moment you start pulling back, suddenly the one who ignored you starts paying attention? It's because silence isn't weakness, it's a weapon. When a woman pulls away and starts ignoring you, the natural impulse is to close the gap, to reach out, to fix it. But that's exactly what you shouldn't do. Because the more you chase her, the more she runs. And the more she runs, the more power she holds. Her ego thrives on attention. It feeds on your confusion, your texts, your attempts to figure her out. That's the trap. But when you don't chase, when you don't engage, when you simply step back even further, something powerful happens. She feels your absence. And trust me, silence from a man who was once present is louder than any words you could ever say. Most men think the way to win her back is through more effort. But effort in the face of disrespect just makes you look desperate. You don't win her back by running after her, you win her attention by not needing it. That's the paradox. The less you react, the more unpredictable you become. And unpredictability creates tension, curiosity, questions in her mind. Why isn't he chasing me? Did he lose interest? Did he find someone else? That internal conflict shakes her ego more than any confrontation ever could. When you pull back with purpose, you're not being petty. You're demonstrating self-respect. You're signaling that your time, your energy, and your focus are reserved for people who value them. And whether she admits it or not, that boundary commands her attention. It's a reminder that you're not just another guy willing to dance for scraps of affection. You're a man who knows his worth. And if she wants access to you, silence won't get her there. Let her feel what life is like without your attention. Let her sit in the space she created. Because if your presence didn't move her, your absence just might. Most men don't lose a woman because they weren't good enough. They lose her because they lose control of themselves. And when a woman starts ignoring you, the biggest trap isn't her silence. It's your reaction to it. That's where the real game is played. Not in what you say, but in how you carry yourself when nothing is being said at all. This is where masculine frame matters more than anything. Your energy, your stability, your ability to stay composed when the situation is trying to shake you. Because that's what her silence is doing. It's trying to shift the power dynamic. It's meant to rattle you, to make you doubt yourself, to make you reach. But when you remain unmoved, she feels that. That calm presence becomes impossible to ignore. Masculine energy isn't loud, it's not desperate, it doesn't chase validation, it doesn't need answers to feel secure, it simply is. And when you hold that energy, when you choose not to flinch, you communicate something far more powerful than words ever could. You show her that her behavior doesn't define your identity. That's the moment the shift happens. Because now you're not reacting emotionally. You're not arguing or explaining or trying to get her to come back. You're not handing her control of the emotional climate. You're setting the tone, and you're doing it by doing less. That's power. That's control. And it's that calm dominance that creates the tension she didn't expect. So while she's trying to test your worth, you respond by owning it. You don't match her energy, you master yours. And suddenly, she's no longer in control of the moment. You are. You're not competing for her attention, you're holding space. You're grounded, and that shift in presence, that's what forces her to reevaluate everything. You don't need to explain your silence, you don't need to prove your value, you just need to embody it. Because a man who stays calm in chaos becomes unforgettable. There's something powerful about being underestimated. When a woman ignores you, most men shrink, overthink, spiral, and that's exactly what she expects. But what if, instead of breaking down, you used her silence as fuel? What if every time she pulled away, you got sharper, stronger, more focused? That's the difference between letting her ego win and using her distance to evolve. See, a lot of guys waste that space trying to figure her out, rereading old messages, wondering what went wrong, waiting for her to come back. That's dead energy. That's time lost. What she doesn't expect is for you to glow up in the middle of her silence. To show her, not through words, but through action, that her absence didn't slow you down. It actually woke you up. This is where transformation happens. This is your turning point. When she disappears, you dive deeper into your goals. You hit the gym harder. You work on your mindset. You start dressing better, speaking with more conviction, moving like a man who knows exactly who he is and what he brings to the table. Not for her, not to prove anything, but because you remember your value. That's the moment she starts watching from a distance. Maybe she won't say it. Maybe she won't like your posts or reach out, but she'll notice. Because the man you're becoming makes her question why she ever thought you'd wait around. You've flipped the narrative without confrontation by building in silence. There's a kind of revenge that doesn't look like revenge at all. It looks like peace, progress, purpose, and it becomes a quiet storm she didn't see coming. Every time she chose to ignore you, she handed you the opportunity to get better, to level up in ways that turn you into the version of yourself she can no longer reach. So if she's silent, let her be, but make sure that when she looks back, you're not standing still, you're unrecognizable. Have you ever noticed how quick she was to pull back once she knew you were all in? That sudden switch, 1 minute she's warm, the next she's cold. It's confusing at first, until you realize what's really happening. It's not about you being wrong. It's about her testing whether you'll abandon your own value just to stay close. And the most powerful response in that moment is not to react, but to mirror. Not out of revenge, but out of strength. When someone ignores you, especially someone you've been giving your time, energy, and presence to, the instinct is to explain, to reconnect, to bring balance back. But real balance doesn't come from overextending. It comes from meeting energy where it's at. If she pulls away, you pull back. Not to punish her, but to protect your self-respect. This isn't about playing games. It's about communicating silently that you won't engage with anyone who treats you like an option. You're not trying to win her back. You're simply showing that her behavior doesn't go unnoticed and it won't be rewarded. That's a message louder than any words you could say. And when it comes from calm detachment, not spite, it hits differently. It shows maturity, power, control. What most people don't understand is that mirroring isn't weakness. It's clarity. You're showing her you saw the shift in energy, and rather than react emotionally, you matched it without complaint. That creates tension. It makes her think. It makes her wonder, because she expected you to hold on tighter, to ask questions, to seek closure. Instead, you gave her space, and now she's left in silence with her own thoughts. The key is to mirror her distance, but with purpose. Your intention isn't to manipulate, it's to uphold a standard, a boundary, to show her and yourself that you don't chase people who pull away. You attract people who show up. And when you can match silence with silence, not out of fear, but from a place of certainty, you don't just mirror her behavior, you reflect back the truth she tried to avoid. There comes a point when your silence speaks louder than any argument, any message, or any explanation ever could. And the truth is, the longer you stick around hoping she'll come back, the more you're telling her it's okay to treat you like you're disposable, but you're not. And the most powerful move you can make when she continues to ignore you is to walk away, quietly, completely, with dignity. See, most men wait. They wait for a reply. They wait for a sign. They hold on to hope, thinking maybe she'll come to her senses. But that waiting, it slowly kills your confidence, your self-worth, your momentum. Because deep down you know the energy isn't being returned, but you're too afraid of what walking away might mean. Let me tell you what it really means. It means freedom. You don't need closure. You don't need her explanation. The disrespect was already the answer. And the longer you stick around trying to fix something she's clearly given up on, the more power you hand over. So instead, you let go. Not with drama, not with emotional outbursts, but with silent certainty. You exit her life like you were never waiting on her to begin with. When a woman realizes you've walked away without trying to prove your value, it creates a shock to her ego because she expected you to hold on, to stay on standby. She expected to always have you as an option. And when you disappear, not with bitterness, but with peace, that's when the regret sets in. Walking away is not weakness, it's the ultimate strength. It's saying, I know what I bring to the table, and I won't beg anyone to sit with me. It's reminding yourself that you deserve someone who sees your value without having to test your patience first. And most importantly, it's choosing self-respect over temporary emotion. So if she's still ignoring you after all the signs, stop waiting, stop wondering. Walk away with your head high and never look back. Let her live with the silence she created, because sometimes losing you is the lesson she needs most.